Hi everybody and welcome to Learn Livestreaming Live. My name's John Lacey and today on the show we're talking all about actually using the gear that you own. I know it sounds so obvious, but I think it's something we need to revisit. And today's something of a bit of an intervention for myself as much as anything, but we'll talk about that in a second. We are going out live to all the various places. Head over to johnlacey.com/live to get the best experience. And we are pushing to 1,000 subs. And at the moment, it looks like there's 962 subscribers, which is kind of amazing because I haven't put out that much content lately. So I appreciate your support. But let's talk about the thing that's, I don't know, captured my imagination this week. DJI have officially released the Osmo Pocket 4. And it looks amazing. It looks really, really cool. It has some new features that the older version, the Osmo Pocket 3, didn't have. And some of us, we've seen all the reviews, we've seen all the tutorials, we've been really tempted. Whether we're upgrading or whether we're looking for a second camera, it seems like a really cool option. But here's the thing, I still have the Osmo Pocket 3, this camera over here. And it's still kind of amazing, but I think what I need to do is make sure I just start using it a little bit more often. And I kind of feel like if you're like me, you're probably something of a gear enthusiast, and that often means that you want to accumulate stuff. But the truth is, we've got to actually use the stuff we accumulate, or what's the point? Just spending money for the sake of spending money. And I know it can be so tempting, especially at the end of a hard week, to want to treat yourself, and I think that's fine. Probably, if I'm being completely honest, the main reason I haven't purchased this is because the Creator Combo version of it from DJI directly is sold out. Otherwise, I would have been really, really tempted. But I think we need to take a step back and just think about, what we actually have access to, what we could do with it, and honestly, why aren't we using it more, and how we could use it more. So let's have a think about that, because I think it's really important. I think we do need to actually consider what we already own and what we're going to do with it. And I've stuffed something up already, so there's a really good chance there might be some comments that I'm not actually seeing. So I apologize if anybody's been madly commenting in the background, because I had the wrong thing clicked on. Which is what happens when you don't stream for a few weeks. You get a little bit rusty. So hello everybody, feel free to say hi if you are out there lurking. And if you want to lurk and not say hi, that's cool too. So first of all, I think it's really important that we sort of take stock of all the various things we own. Because sometimes I forget what I own in terms of video and audio equipment. And I've got stuff. I got a lot of stuff for the Osmo Pocket 3. Like, this is just a holder for it that actually has a magnet on the back of it, so I can sort of click it onto whatever I want to click it onto. And I think, it's a really good idea to just take stock and maybe even make a list of the things that you own and think about some of the creative ways in which you can use them. So I feel like this chair is actually it's not as tall as it was when I started this stream, but anyway, let's not dwell on that too much. So think about the things that you have access to, and often, it's something of a cliche, but I think it is literally true. The best camera is the one that you have on you. So often that comes in the form of a smartphone. So think about, if you are out and about and you don't have your gear with you, what do you have on you that you could perhaps make some content with? Because it's very easy to set up a camera somewhere. I actually do have these little credit card sized bits of sort of metal and plastic that fold out into into a little phone holder, and it can sort of just put that anywhere you want. It's really, really quite epic, really. So, think about that. Also, if you do actually have a go bag, what are the kinds of things that you want to put in that go bag to actually have ready for you when you want to go? Again, it sounds so obvious, but what are those things, and do you have them set up correctly? Like, are they organized in your bag? For me, especially in terms of the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, I've got a tripod I'm quite a portable tripod, and again, that's important if you are out and about. You want to make sure that you're not lugging around something that's incredibly heavy and is going to just ruin your time and potentially your back in the process. So it is a relatively light one, and again, that works out quite well for the DJI Pocket 3 because that is quite a light camera. So that is really, really cool. And also, the great thing about the Osmo Pocket 3, the Creator Combo, which I got, sort of has its own little case, and I can put all the accessories in there and be ready to go. Although one of my favorite purchases actually was a stabilizer, and you've probably seen me use this. In fact, I think it's in the video thumbnail for this particular stream. And it was relatively cheap, but it's amazing at how good it is at actually sort of smoothing out the motion when you are walking around with it, that you don't have to do that crab walk that people always refer to. And I'm sure it works, but I'm sure it looks ridiculous, and I don't really want to subject myself to that. I'm going to come back in just a second. I just want to adjust this chair because it genuinely is annoying the hell out of me. So let's just do this. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that, everybody. I think I need to adjust some of the screws in this chair because it's not playing nicely. It's very annoying. So getting back to today's topic though, in terms of the gear that you have, are you using it to its full potential? And again, for me, there are things that I want to do, especially in DaVinci Resolve with multicam editing, and I just need multiple camera angles, as the name suggests. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to get another DJI Osmo Pocket 3, and then DJI released the Pocket 4, and now I'm in a bit of a dilemma because I think the logical thing to do would be to buy the Pocket 3 because I know the footage would match really well. But the temptation of the Pocket 4 is just kind of amazing. But either way, I can always get a second camera angle with my phone, and I think that's the thing I need to actually try. And for me, it's really about experimentation. I think we really do need to think about what we're going to actually use and play with, and sort of be okay with the results not being that crash hot potentially. And just going into this with a creator mode and a sense of creativity, and being okay with the fact that maybe you can't use all the footage that you gain. And depending on your use case, that could be fun, that could be a problem. So just keep that in mind, because, literally anything could happen on that front. All right, so I'm just going to do some things in the background here because I want to make sure things are still working, which they appear to be, which is awesome. So in addition to knowing what you own, thinking about some of the creative applications thereof, and I think, if we think about different camera angles, different techniques, stationary filming with a tripod, maybe actually moving around with a stabilizer or a selfie stick or something like that, actually having somebody physically adjust the camera for you. you know, those things can be really great. And again, the more footage you record, the more you potentially have to play with when you come back to editing, if that is your workflow. So I think it's great to capture as much as you can. Again, I hate to keep coming back to the the Osmo Pocket 4, but one of the interesting things about that in particular is that it actually comes with inbuilt storage now. You don't necessarily need the card to insert into that. And candidly, that was one of the things I struggled with the most for the Osmo Pocket 3, was physically inserting the card into this thing. I watched so many YouTube videos and I was so confused, and no matter what I was trying, it just didn't work. And then eventually it did work, and I'm like, okay, great. I'm never taking that thing out ever again. And the great thing is I can connect the unit to my computer via USB-C, so that works out pretty well. Yeah, so we've got that there as well. And look, I'm done entire shows on this in the past, and I don't think I will bore you too much. But the great thing about the Osmo Pocket 3 is that I can buy all kinds of cool accessories for it. And I do. I really do. I've got like little lights that I can attach to it. I've got covers. I've got this holder, which I can actually... I can put this on the cold shoe of another camera, so potentially I could be shooting with two cameras simultaneously. That's not really part of my workflow at the moment, but I love the idea of it, and I like the possibilities of it. And I think that's the thing that's both amazing, but also potentially a problem, because it can be really easy to, you know, think about all the possibilities and get overwhelmed with them. And really, in a lot of ways, what you want to do is just find the one thing that you want to try out today and go and do that, and schedule some time. Let's see if we can maybe schedule 15 to 30 minutes a day to actually use our gear and play with it. And, you know, maybe go watch some YouTube videos, maybe consult the instruction manual. But again, just be a little bit careful about that, because there's always that danger that, you know, you spend too much time learning and not enough time doing. And that's a real problem. So just be aware of that as well. But yeah, like I said, I've got lights, I've got different microphones. And I guess that's another thing, is if you do start accumulating a lot of different equipments, you will find that you actually have duplicates of things. So, you know, for me, I have a number of different microphone systems and wireless microphone systems, and I tend to use the DJI one because it sort of wirelessly connects to the Osmo Pocket 3, and I don't need to physically attach another dongle in the way that I would for the Rode Wireless Micro, which again, I'm sure it would work. I'm sure it would be fine. But again, you just need to think about what makes most sense. And hello to Kilobyte. Great to have your company today. So we're talking about not just accumulating gear, but actually using it. And I'm really curious to hear in the chat, what kind of video and audio equipment do you own? And how often are you actually using it? Because I think that's a problem. And look, I'm not really here to judge. We all have incredibly busy lives. I'm really tired. I didn't really want to get out of bed and do the stream this morning, if I'm being completely honest, but I thought it was important. So I thought I better do that. So again, what are the pieces of gear that you own and how can you use them? And again, I have a number of different tripods, and I have mini tripods. I have so many mini tripods because, one, they're really cheap, but also there's a really good chance you're going to need different heights of things. And I mean, I have some at my... oh, okay. Hello, Ernesto. Great to have your company today. Got a different account. Okay, awesome. Which platform are you watching on? I can probably tell from the other window. You are on YouTube. Okay, cool. All right, well, great to have your company anyway. And, you know, just to catch people up, the reason I'm kind of, and this is an intervention for me as much as anything, is that this beautiful thing, the Osmo Pocket 4, was released, and I really love it. I really want it, and I probably will end up getting it at some point. But the reality is, I own this thing, which is perfectly fine, perfectly awesome, and I just need to use it more often. So that's sort of the spirit of today's show. And Ernesto writes, have way too much gear, Osbot, cams, camera, etc. Yeah. And look, I'm some people are gear enthusiasts. I'm definitely a gear enthusiast, and if you can afford it without going into debt, I don't have a problem with that. But I do think we need to use these things because I think sometimes it can be really tempting to just accumulate them and go, oh, they're so pretty or they're so cool. But what are the creative projects we're actually going to use them with? All right, so Ernesto writes that he wants the, I guess it's the Insta360 Luna, which is not something I'm familiar with. So I'm going to just do a bit of Googling. Okay, so it's, yeah, all right. Oh, that's a mic. That's the wrong thing, I presume. I don't know anything about this. Okay, cool. So let's just, I'll just share this one. So, why the Insta360 Lunar Ultra could be the ultimate DJI rival for creators. Yeah, and I guess there are a few of these that actually have, I don't know if it's two different cameras, two different lenses. Yeah. We probably need to talk about that too. So, one of the problems for Americans is I believe the FCC have actually not given the DJI Osmo Pocket for approval to be sold in the country. And yes, and Ernesto writes the DJI is banned for some reason. I can't access the link. Yeah, absolutely. I guess the American government has some concerns about DJI being a Chinese company. And this is not a particularly political show, so I'm not going to dwell on that too much. But it is a problem. The thing that kind of confuses me, though, is I've seen so many Americans in the last week review this thing. And in some cases, they've said, look, we're in Canada, we're testing this in Canada. But in others, I don't think they were. And I'm not really sure how that works. And I don't want to get anybody into trouble. I don't think I would like to... I mean, I'm very grateful that I have access to this if I want to purchase it, so that would be really cool. But yeah, it is kind of worth keeping that in mind. And I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things happening in America that I don't really want to speak to, but it is definitely something to keep in mind. And the great thing, I guess, is that you can still get the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 there, but certainly the Insta360 Luna Ultra looks really interesting. And even DJI themselves are kind of rumored to have another version of the Osmo Pocket 4, some sort of upgrade. Again, it's all gossip and rumor, although some people have alluded to the fact they've signed NDAs and can't say anything about it. So maybe it's coming. I don't know. All right. But yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, that's interesting, and I genuinely don't know too much about the two. I say that. I mean, I'm sure my phone has multiple sort of. Yeah, my phone has at least two lenses on, so I guess you're just switching between the two of them. But again, I haven't had too much time to sort of study that particular camera in itself. When I adjusted the chair, which again seems to be creeping down again, I've sort of bumped the green screen as well. So there's a little bit of artifacting on the screen, which is incredibly annoying. But this is what happens when you don't stream often and you're out of practice. Yeah, so I don't know. The availability of some of these things, especially in America, is going to be a little bit weird for the time being. So, I mean, I don't know. There's probably not a lot you can do about that except look at other options. But again, we don't necessarily need to buy things. We can use the things that we've already got as well. Speaking of which, I'm gonna play this video. It's an older video, but I think it would be quite useful in terms of, especially if you've got a go bag, like what are the things you're putting into it. And this, again, these are just ideas. There are all kinds of. The great thing about the modern age, in some ways, is that all the gear is pretty good. You really can't go too wrong. So don't stress about the brands too much. But these are some of the things that I've been using. Okay, so something that I've been interested in getting more involved in is essentially mobile filmmaking. So the thing about mobile filmmaking is you kind of want your setup to be portable. You want to take the gear that's going to work for you, but you don't want to take everything because lugging that stuff around is going to be a huge pain. At the moment, I've got my K&F concept bag. In the top of this compartment, I can actually fit in the entire DJI Osmo Pocket 3 Creator Mode kit in this little bag. Everything fits in there, which actually leaves the rest of the bag empty for whatever else I want to include there. And at the moment, it is literally empty. But I was looking for a tripod or a monopod or a selfie stick or something that I could bring with me. And I had a lot of really small ones and a lot of really big heavy duty ones, which are just hard to carry. So I ultimately ended up with this thing. This is the Ulanzi MT44. There's the box there. This thing is really, really cool, and it is quite lightweight, but it is also pretty sturdy. So first of all, if you look at the top of this, there's a little cap, but essentially if I screw this off or take this off, I can attach whatever I want to a 1/4 inch thread, and I can go like that. But it does also have, this will be the point at which I realize if I can do this or not, it's actually got a built-in phone holder. So if you do just want to work with your phone, that's really, really cool. I've mostly been using the 1/4 inch thread just with the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. And we do have the ability, got to sort of unscrew this thing here. It's got a lock position and unlock position. And if I do that, a couple of things that we can do from this point. I probably need to unscrew this one as well. But I can make this into a selfie stick, and it's really quite large. Like it won't fit in the frame, it's that large, which is kind of hilarious. So I can go up if I want to do that. And again, I really love the thickness of this handle. But also, while this is unscrewed, I can actually release. It's always fun to do these things on a live demonstration because it won't be terribly obvious, but I can actually bring that out, and then I can have a proper stand. Again, you just got to make sure that you tighten this thread back into the lock position. And I've got something that is actually quite sturdy, can be really tall if I need it to be, and can have that base as well. So that's what I'm rocking at the moment. I really like this. Somebody on YouTube recommended it. I wish I remembered who that was because it was really cool. But even just in selfie mode, the thickness of the base is really nice. It's really lovely to hold. So that's what I'm working with at the moment. Do you do any kind of mobile videography? Let me know in the comments what you're using and what you're enjoying. And the great thing about this is you can use it with your phone, and then if you upgrade to other things, you can use that as well. I mean, obviously there's probably a limit to how heavy the camera can be, but again, for my Osmo Pocket 3, it's perfectly fine. Okay, so that's, just some of the things that are in my Go bag and the bag itself. So Ernesto writes, do you have a chair in mind? I don't. I really probably need to start looking, though, because this thing is terrible. And Ernesto also writes, I bought the Stream Deck Plus XL, which that's the newest gear that he's purchased. So again, it's been a little while since I've looked at that. I love how this is ostensibly a show about using the gear you already have, and we're just looking at exciting things to purchase. I must admit, I really like the extra large, the Stream Deck XL, without the buttons and stuff and the knobs. And to be honest, I think I'm okay with that. And I guess the other thing too is because I also have the DaVinci Resolve speed editor on the desk. I don't have a lot of spare desk room. I always need to clean my desk, but this is a beautiful thing. And I'd love to hear actually, Ernesto, how you've been using this, because I've used, and obviously I've got access lots buttons. I've never used the knobs or the displays. So that in itself is really, really cool. And again, I guess getting back to today's subject is like, how are you actually using the gear that you already own? So I'm going to actually open up the Stream Deck software. He says, if you can spell Stream Deck, and I'll drag it over to the screen where you can see it. it's often a really good idea to get into the habit of revisiting these things, because this is actually, these set of buttons relate to this particular OBS scene collection. And this is the same show format I've been rocking since Sam and I did the video and live streaming show. And there are stuff in here like the Just Kidding Around promo, which I guess I could throw to at any point. And given some of the technical issues I've had today, it's often a good idea to have some of those videos on standby. But essentially, like at the moment, I really use this, that. And, you know, I've sort of thrown to some of these things today. But for the most part, there's actually a lot of stuff I don't actually need here. And the other thing about this particular scene collection is I've also got it so I can have potentially 2 other people on the stream. And I think I've moved a lot of those buttons into its own section because I just don't need them anymore. And again, you know, I've got 10 pages of buttons. I very rarely use many of them, to be honest. But again, it's a good idea to go back to these things periodically and think about what are you using and what can you get rid of. Or, you know, even just archive, just move somewhere else on there. And again, if you've got all those buttons, and again, I'm not sure how many, I want to count how many buttons, but I'm assuming it'll just tell me on here somewhere. There's a lot of buttons on this thing. Actually, it looks like it might be the same. Oh no, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think, and I'm only going off screenshots, so and counting badly and doing math in real time, which is always a mistake. But I'm thinking, are there? Do we know, Ernesto? Do we know how many buttons? I want to say it's 36. I don't know if that's right. I'm surprised the page actually doesn't tell me. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it does. 36 keys, 6 dials under the display. Okay, cool. All right. Don't do math live on a stream. It's always a mistake, but yes, that seems to be correct. All right, awesome. So again, think about how you're using these things, because if you haven't touched them in a while, you probably aren't using them, and you probably need to revisit that. Yes, 36. Okay, awesome. Yeah, and look, just to hammer home the point, it literally says here 36 keys, 6 dials at the top of the screen, which I completely didn't notice. So anyway, but yeah, I would like, are you using the dials and the I guess is that a touch screen display? I mean, it looks really cool. It looks amazing. But I'm still happy with my little Stream Deck XL. But yes. So let's think about actually using those things. So again, I guess the other thing that I have to just own up to, and again, this is me calling out myself more than anything, is that, especially for the Osmo Pocket 3, you can buy so many accessories. And as someone who's never been an iPhone person, I've always been a little jealous of the sheer number of accessories Apple users get offered. Probably because they have the disposable income to purchase this stuff. So, like, I'm very guilty of having a tough week at work or whatever, and then just wanting to treat myself. And especially with Amazon, with AliExpress, with all these different marketplaces out there, it's really easy to buy accessories, and some of them are awesome, and some of them you sort of look at once and go, yeah, I'm never going to use that. In fact, I have a little attachment somewhere, and I don't know where it is. It's supposed to clip onto the bottom of the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, but I couldn't for the life of me get it to actually connect. And AliExpress did refund me for that, which was nice of them. But again, I think we're talking about the gear, and the gear is amazing. Like, the gear is really awesome. I'm not really here to tell you not to buy gear, but I just want you to really use the things that you've got and play with them in experiments and try the different camera angles, try different techniques, use different microphones. Think about the storytelling aspect of your videos as well, and go out there. And I know, especially as someone who is both the on-camera talent and the person operating the gear, it can be really hard to get all the shots that you want to get. Like it is extremely difficult. And if I had a friend I could invite along, that would be awesome. But yeah, it's tricky, and you just got to do what you can do. And I think one of the things that people say about the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 and probably 4 as well now is a lot of discussion about whether this is a cinematic camera or not. And to be honest, I don't really care, because I was really just looking for a vlogging camera that was portable, that was separate to my phone. And obviously there are things you can do in terms of changing the frame rates and you know, having different filters on it. It's a good idea to do those things. Ernesto writes, I have an iPhone 16 Pro Max, but the battery is still terrible. Great pics, but mostly for the ecosystem MacBook Pro watch. Yeah. And again, like I'm sure the Mac stuff is great. I don't really want to switch what I'm doing. I'm very happy in Windows/Android world. Wow. Okay. So Ernesto writes, I think I need to get better at editing. Halfway through done my bachelor's degree though. Oh, that's impressive. Yeah, so I mean, obviously there are different things competing with all of our attention and energy, so we do need to be a little bit realistic about that. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear more about what you're actually editing and doing. And I'll probably need to check out the new accounts. I don't know if that's one that you're producing content on, but I'm going to look it up in real time because I can. Okay. Doesn't look like there's anything on that one. But I'm going to subscribe anyway, just in case. I can double your subscriber numbers. All right, no worries. Yeah, so, you know... And I think the next thing to do is just schedule some time. And just build some sort of commitment in. And I know it's tricky, and it kind of depends on what you're doing and what you're working with, because... I wrote something, I think on LinkedIn during the week about, you know, not having too many excuses or not finding excuses. Like, and one of the things I sort of cited was that the weather was bad. And on the one hand, yeah, sure, you can go out even when the weather's bad. But one thing I can tell you for nothing about the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 is it's not waterproof. So I'm not taking it out in the rain. I'm very scared of that, in fact. But on days like that, like, what else could you be doing? And maybe it is something that you're doing on the computer. Maybe you're just speaking directly to your webcam, or, you know, whatever that looks like on your setup. Maybe that's actually going into DaVinci Resolve and doing some editing. There's all kinds of stuff that we could be doing. And again, even just getting a notebook and speculating, just generating ideas. And that's something I used to do religiously, and I haven't done for a really long time. And I have actually got a new notebook, and I'm trying to get back into that habit, but it's been many years since I've actually done that, so it's been a little bit tricky. But I think it is worthwhile actually doing those sorts of things. So I did see this in the old chatbot earlier, so I should press the button. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And what do you know? That's not working either. I need to figure this out because it's incredibly annoying. Okay, I can do it manually. There we go. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I do need to revisit these because I don't understand what the deal is with that. But anyway. Okay. And Ernesto's got another channel that he's created for school projects. All right, cool. All right. Yeah, awesome. I'm curious now. This channel is made by a student for students. Follow along as I vlog my journey. Okay, awesome. And a part of me wants to ask what you're studying, but I suspect if I watch some of these videos, I will find out. But you could probably tell me in the comments too. All right. Yes. Yep. All right. Awesome. I have subscribed to that one as well. So now you've got nearly as many subscribers as you have videos. Very nice. All right. So what I want you to do this week is just see if you can find one piece of gear in your your creative toolbox. Look at it, think about how you might want to use it. I keep playing with this really just because it is physically beside me, but this is just a holder for the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, and it has a magnet on the back of it. So I can sort of, if I remember how, and this is the other thing, if you don't use your gear very often, you forget how it works, but essentially I can actually just attach that to any sort of metallic surface, because that's a giant magnet. And that's really cool because you can get a lot of interesting video angles with it in that regard. So like whatever it is, think about what it is, how you might like to use it, what you'd use it for. And I think the other thing too is if you have things that go together, think about actually packing them together. So, you know, if there's a microphone that works really well with a camera, put them together. If there's a tripod, if there's a stabilizer, I probably need to make more content about all the accessories I've got for my Osmo Pocket 3. But the problem is that I have to record on a different camera and I don't like the video quality. But again, I don't know. I feel like this is just an excuse to talk about gear, and I probably will end up buying a lot more. Okay, so Ernesto writes, computer information systems analyst and a minor in media content creation at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. That sounds very impressive. Well, I hope that you're halfway through, so that's quite an achievement. I'm really looking forward to actually checking out some of these videos after the stream, so that will be really cool. All right. So, is there a particular piece of gear that you bought? Absolutely. So, Ernesto writes, it's motivating him to do a short on old gear, revisit my handy tools. Yeah. And that's the thing, I guess, especially, and I hate to keep circling back to this, but because I'm obsessed, but a lot of people are getting quite angry about the fact that the Osmo Pocket 4 isn't really a huge departure from the Osmo Pocket 3. It's a very subtle upgrade. There are, like, it has inbuilt storage, it has 10-bit D-Log instead of D-Log M. It does some things better, but it's not hugely different. And I think a lot of people were like, this isn't good enough, I'm not upgrading. And the truth is, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this camera. If you're still rocking this camera, keep rocking this camera. This is really for new people or for people that want a second camera. They want to do something very particular with the, the color grading and that kind of stuff. So, the introduction of this doesn't make this obsolete. And I think a lot of technology marketing is built around the idea that you have to have the newest and the best. And the truth is, you really don't. You really will get a lot of mileage out of that. And the other thing that I'm just looking at on my desk right now is I'm still rocking the original Rodecaster Pro. And I don't even remember when this thing came out, but and I've been really tempted to upgrade to other things, but it's such a workhorse. It still does everything I need it to do. I can connect to Bluetooth. I can make, I don't make a lot of phone calls, but when I do, I actually set them up with this microphone and call them via my phone on Bluetooth and just talk to them hands-free because it's really convenient. I've got sound effects. I've got, I think I've got 3 different microphones connected to this actually, I say that. I've got 2. I did have 3. I took one off so I could use a mic stand as a light stand, which is a whole other discussion we might need to revisit at some point. But I can record directly to this. All my audio for my video calls and my streams, they all come through this, podcasts. It still works. And I think if you buy into the marketing too much, you would assume that no, it's obsolete, it's uncool, you have to get rid of it. And it really isn't. And Ernesto writes, less bulky for vlogging versus a cell phone. 240 frames per second sounds awesome. Yeah, it is genuinely mind-boggling. I saw somebody, and I wish I could remember this person's name, but they use the 240 frames per second to record some seagulls flying, and it's sort of hurt my brain at how slow and crisp the footage was. It was really epic. But again, nice to have, not necessarily a must have. And again, I don't know. There's a really good chance if this becomes available here, I probably will buy it at some point. I probably will. It's probably a thing that's going to happen. But until I sort of prove to myself that I'm going to use the cameras I already have, I kind of want to hold off. So just keep that in mind. And I guess the other thing too, we're talking about a lot of physical gear, but it's worth thinking about software as well. And I know there's lots of great software out there for all kinds of things. Obviously, I do a lot with OBS Studio, and a lot of people are curious about OBS Studio, but I don't think it is for everybody. I think I know I've been invited to a community, and every now and then people will have questions, and like the minute I start explaining things to them, they check out. They're like, that's too many steps, and that's fair enough. There are other tools that you can use. Like DaVinci Resolve is great. I really love it, and in some ways, again, talking about that marketing thing, people will encourage you to bounce from tool to tool, but I think that's a mistake. I think it's a really good idea to actually stay with something and learn it well. And it's funny, I kind of made a video, which I put on some social media platforms, I can't remember exactly which ones, earlier in the week. And again, it's just me getting out in nature and talking about different things. I forgot, but you probably can actually hear that, so that might be a bit annoying, so I'll resist the urge to scroll through it too much. But, you know, actually spending some time. I'm really curious, actually, Ernesto, you mentioned the editing that you want to get better at. What are you using anything at the moment? Are there things that you're curious about? Because for me, I love editing. I love DaVinci Resolve, and the thing is, the only way I have things to edit is if I go out and record, and that's the part that I often struggle with. Like, I don't want to be on camera most of the time. But I kind of feel like I need to, or I will have nothing to play with. So DaVinci Resolve, they've announced an upcoming version at NAB as well. So I'm curious to see what that looks like. Okay. So Ernesto writes, I've recorded with vMix and Ecamm, learn just enough, but I cancel my subscription to Ecamm. Yeah, and you're obviously in the Mac sphere, so you have kind of other choices as well, which is cool. But yes, it's, you know, you've got to. I don't want to get on my soapbox, but I think we sort of live in this time where lots of people are using very little effort to generate stuff with AI. And look, I'm not your parents, I'm not your boss. You need to decide what's appropriate for you. But I think there is still value in sort of learning to master tools and creativity and things like that. So Ernesto also writes, I've used Final Cut Pro, but I want to get better at DaVinci. Yeah, and I barely scratch the surface of DaVinci, but it does enough to keep me going. And you know, there have been times where I've actually done streams on Fusion, for example, and that was interesting, but it's not something I'm going to use every day. Whereas, you know, just living in the edit page and the cut page, I actually do like the cut page now that I've got the speed editor. There's a lot of things that didn't really make sense to me before I got the speed editor, but now that's a particular way of working where I could just grab my footage, do my cuts, insert it into the timeline, sometimes override things. Because even, let me go back here. So like this is the cut page, and I guess if I go here, there's a button, there's a physical button on the speed editor that just says close up, and like I can literally go from, you know, from that to that. Really easily. And again, like you can do that in software, you don't need the physical unit, but that is a feature in DaVinci Resolve, which I think is really cool. And I'm sure you can do it sort of manually in other software, and there probably are other options as well. But I guess like I want to think about how I can introduce more creative visuals into my projects because a lot of this, and this is a classic example, it's just me talking to one camera, and I'm literally out in the wild, and it was very, very windy. In fact, I want to, I don't know how clear this will be, but I'm going to play a little bit of this just so you can hear it. Video and audio companies are always producing really amazing new gear, and I don't know about you, but I'm a bit of a gear enthusiast. So, you probably can't tell, but I've got this thing on here called AI voice isolation. If I turn this off, and we'll go back here, just listen to this again. Video and audio companies are always producing really amazing new gear, and I don't know about you, but I'm a bit of a gear enthusiast, so I love to treat myself. And it was an insanely windy day, and you can definitely hear that, but that is literally one click of this button, and it removes the background noise. And I guess as someone who hadn't recorded outside in a long time, I kind of forgot about how windy and ambiently noisy the outside world can be. And the fact that I can do that, you can also adjust the amount, although I've just left it on 100. I think that's fine for my purposes. To go from, and again, I'll turn it off. Video and audio companies are always... To go from that is producing really amazing... This is quite extraordinary. And I think if you've been here a hot second, you know I'm not crazy about AI, but I think this is one of those cases where it actually can support creative output. And Ernesto writes, I learned to build PCs. I have a main PC in Studio Q before the crazy spikes. RAM was way cheaper 6 months ago in September. Yeah, it's funny. A number of years ago, and I would really have to look it up, but I just bought the most spec'd up computer I could afford. And this computer costs more than either of the secondhand cars I've purchased in my lifetime were. And at that time, it seemed insane, but given the way the prices have bounced since then, I'm very, very grateful that I did that because it's worked out really, really well for me. And I don't know, again, I don't want to get on my soapbox about AI, but a lot of those price spikes are a consequence of people just using AI for crap that they probably shouldn't be using it for. But anyway, I'll save that for my TEDx talk. And I'm being facetious. I'm not speaking at TED. Yes, so, you know, that's, look, honestly, that's another reason to think about just how you can use the stuff you already know, already have, because the prices are going up for all kinds of cultural and social reasons. There are economic forces out in the world, but anyway. Sometimes I genuinely just get lucky in life. Like I just try stuff and it works. And I guess, you know, since we're talking about the prices of things, it is worth mentioning there are a bunch of free tools out there that you can use. Not so much in terms of physical gear, although there might be opportunities to purchase things. And it sounds like there's a plane going overhead right now. I don't know if you can hear that, but anyway, not much I can do about it. But, you know, we talk about software. You know, Meld Studio is free. It is relatively easy to get started with. They've introduced some AI stuff in the last couple of weeks, which people have feelings about. OBS Studio is free. There's all kinds of great software out there. It's definitely worth checking out. And you can sort of choose to upgrade when and if you want to. And I guess that's the thing for me. Like, I didn't need the studio version of DaVinci Resolve. I mean, I do really like the caption feature that I do have because of it. But the main reason I bought the speed editor and got the premium version of the software is just I wanted to support this company, Blackmagic Design, who are just doing some really cool stuff. And again, the free version of DaVinci is amazing. You might need to look at the specs of your computer to see how well it will run, because it can be, depending on the features you're using, it can be a little bit resource intensive, but that is definitely something to think about. And I guess, like, you know, that's the thing, like I'm very constrained actually in my little corner of my live streaming studio. And there's a part of me that would love to have different like different camera angles and stuff, but like the green screen behind me, as you've seen in this very stream, isn't particularly wide, and you know, if I move ever so slightly, it can cause problems. So again, you do need to work within the constraints you have, but just think about what you can try, what you can do differently. Have fun at the end of the day, because I think that's what we need to do. Is we need to play more, we need to practice more, we need to experiment more, and just see what's going on. Okay, that's a fascinating thing. So Ernesto's reporting that his work bought more surgery robots with AI. Funnily enough, they are called Da Vinci. Okay. That seems to be a name that we just attribute to a lot of different things, but there you go. Something that for all of us. All right. Well, you know, speaking of Da Vinci, if I guess what I want to do, it's a long weekend here in my part of the world, so hopefully I have a little bit more time to play with. And I might even see if I can record some footage so we can do some editing in Da Vinci next week. So it'd be great to have your company for that. Let me know if there's something you'd be interested in seeing me cover. I can't cover everything. But let me know if you've got suggestions. I'd love to hear from you. But otherwise, thank you so much for your company today, whether you're watching live or the replay. Have a great week. I guess I should press this magical button again. I think it should work this time. Okay, it didn't work this time. This is driving me nuts. I genuinely don't know why that works half of the time. Okay, don't forget to like and subscribe. I will figure that out one day, but today is not that day. And yeah, just take care, and I'll talk to you again very, very soon.